You're listening to the Energy Trade Show podcast. My name is Ben Seligson, and I am so excited today because we're going to do something that we don't get to do a lot, which is a nice trade show preview for GasTech 2025. And I'm so excited to let you know that GasTech is the world's largest conference and exhibition dedicated to natural gas, LNG, hydrogen, climate technologies, and AI and energy, renowned for its ability to unite top decision makers and industry leaders from around the globe to deliver tangible progress on key energy priorities. For over 50 years, this annual event has been hosted in major energy hubs across Europe, North America, and Asia, with the most recent edition in Houston, H-Town, drawing a record-breaking attendance of 45,000 professionals in 156 countries and generating $27 million in economic impact. The upcoming 2025 edition in Milan, taking place September 9th through 12th, is expected to surpass these numbers with even higher participation from the world's leading energy companies, governments, and technology pioneers. This year's projected attendance is over 50,000, including 1,000 global speakers with more than 1,000 industry exhibitors, as the event will feature 15 different conference programs, an expansive exhibition floor, and dedicated networking platforms for the energy industry to come together. I am so excited that I'm joined here with Christopher Hudson and Joseph McMonigle. Did I say that both correctly, guys?
Perfect.
Awesome. And I'll do a little intro for you if you don't mind. Christopher Hudson is the president of DMG Events and a recognized leader in global business events with over 20 years' experience in delivering influential international events that serve the world's most dynamic industries. Since 2015, he has led the company's strategic growth across key markets, expanding its portfolio beyond energy to address critical global priorities. He also oversees DMG's global energy portfolio, which spans 4 continents and includes flagship events such as ADIPEC and GasTech and the Global Energy Show in Calgary, which is one of my favorite ones as well. Joe McGonigle is a former energy diplomat and a highly respected authority on energy, international affairs, and economics. In January, he completed his term as the Secretary General of the International Energy Forum, an organization of 70 energy ministers that focuses on energy security and dialogue. He is currently president of the Global Center for Energy Analysis. That was a mouthful, guys. Thank you so much. But
You did well, Ben.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm really excited to have you here. And are we excited for GasTech 2025?
We are super excited, Ben, and thank you. I think we're just going to record you and use you as our advert to promote the show. You know, it's great that you got all the numbers out there. We are super excited. This is where the world's natural gas and LNG industry convene every year. It's both the major US companies, it's the global producers, it's the global off-takers, so who's buying natural gas? But the show's evolved to be so much more. You know, we have a big climate tech feature, we're big in hydrogen, of course, AI for energy and what energy needs to do for AI. So in September in Milan, it really is this true global gathering for not only natural gas and LNG, but for that energy industry. And that's really, really critical for us at a crucial time where, you know, the planet needs more energy. And, you know, Joe is the real expert on the numbers and about what more energy we need. But it is a critical time where energy demand, but moreover, electrical demand is growing, and natural gas is one of those key drivers to fulfill that demand.
Yeah, absolutely. And Joe, I want to give you a chance. I know I read your bio, but if you could just introduce yourself to the audience, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. Well, in addition to starting my own research organization, the Global Center for Energy Analysis, I had previously been, as you said, the Secretary General of the IEF, which is based in Saudi Arabia, which is sort of an energy capital of the world, and close to Dubai, where Chris and his team are headquartered. But I also served in the U.S. government at the U.S. Department of Energy as Chief of Staff. I was the Vice Chairman of the International Energy Agency, which is the organization based in Paris, and worked in the Congress and also worked in the private sector for over 25 years. So I've done a lot. The last couple of years, I've been an energy diplomat, traveling around to a lot of conferences, and I have to say, GasTech was always like a must-attend event for me. And one of the things I take away from these different roles that I've had in government, including the very last one at the IF, was that I've come to we've all come to the same conclusion. I think led me to the same conclusion, and that's that the energy systems can adapt and evolve to meet challenges that are out there, but also to go after opportunities. And we're really at, I think, a very turning point in our energy systems today. As Chris referenced, we have really, I think, we're about to enter a surging demand period for all forms of energy, but particularly in the power sector, driven mainly by AI, but also just population growth, urbanization, other technology advancements, and really, I think gas and LNG is playing such an integral part of the world's evolving energy mix, and so therefore, GasTech, for me, it had always been a must-attend event, but I think for companies, for executives, it really is a must-attend event, and it's really evident. When I would go see the C-suite level participation, but also more my ilk, the energy ministers that come from really the top, not just producing of gas, but also the big consumers of gas
Yeah,
countries
definitely.
as well. And it's the perfect place for strategic dialogue on policy issues, but also commercial transactions and discussions. So it's I think it'll be the first big energy conference after the summer break.
So are you? Would you say that energy ministers across the world, GasTech is a must-attend event for them?
I think it really is. And gas is becoming such a really important fuel source for a lot of reasons. I mean, it's got a lot of, it's easily dispatchable. It's very flexible. You can add it quickly to your power needs, although there is an issue of gas, a shortage of gas turbines because it's become so popular now. But it's also a clean energy source too. It doesn't emit the same type of emissions from oil or coal-fired power generation. So from a hydrocarbon standpoint, it's the lowest emitting of the resources, and there's a lot of technologies that can make it even cleaner. So there's a lot of, I think, good qualities about gas. And in 2011, the IEA came out with this report that basically said gas would become 25% of the energy mix by 2030, and therefore that qualified to meet the golden age of gas sort of description. I think we're entering, and of course we've met the 25% way ahead of time. We're 2025, so at least 5 years ahead of time. But I think we're entering a new golden era, a new golden age of gas, because of the explosion in sort of not just demand from AI, as we've talked about, but also from things like AC, because you have needs for power in the developing world, in Africa and Asia, and just bringing people out of lower levels of economic status to a more middle class stance where they're going to want things like air conditioning and refrigerators, and so the power demand just from regular energy use, forget about AI, which is also going to be putting a lot of pressure on the system. So gas has got to be one of the number one resources to power this future, and it's another reason why GasTech, I think, is so important.
I love hearing you say that because on a previous episode just a few weeks ago at the Calgary Stampede, I spoke to the Albertan energy minister, and he really was hitting home the points of utilizing gas as a resource in a humanitarian way to give these people AC, to give the people without power and stuff. So is that a key theme of GasTech 2025, is talking about the ability to utilize gas as a way to uplift the population of the world that doesn't have access to this kind of infrastructure? And Chris, I want to ask you that question.
Yeah, I mean, following on from Joe's comments, I believe there's about 700 million people on the planet that don't have access to electricity.
Whew.
I think there's nearly 2 billion people that don't have access to regular cooking fuels, and that in this day and age has to change. So I echo Joe's points. It's about getting people more energy, more affordable energy. It's about more energy access. Um, the world's definitely getting hotter, so we need more AC. There's more refrigeration. There's more rising middle classes. I think AI adds about 9 or 10% growth to energy demand every year, and that's a big number. I think we're about 17,000 terawatts is expected energy growth by about 2030. That's probably double from about 2020. So you can see the exponential growth there. I mean, a simple Google search times that by 10 for a ChatGPT search. I mean, I'm focused at being on AI, but it is all part of that mix. The shocking figure going back is this, nearly 1 billion people that don't have access to electricity in any shape or form. And natural gas is just one of those sources because of its flexibility, because of its accessibility that really can fill that gap. So it's cheaper, it's affordable. As Joe rightly said, it's one of the lower emitting hydrocarbons out there, and there's an abundance of it.
And if I
We're going to see more and more gas come to market, which will force prices down, which will enable countries to switch off coal and use natural gas as a viable power generation source.
Just to underscore what Chris said too, I mean, we can't have the Western world use gas and other energy sources just for AI purposes and tell the developing world, oh no, you can't use it for basic energy needs. It's about sort of this idea of a just transition. We have to allow the developing world to industrialize, and you can't really do that with renewables. You really need sources like gas and LNG, and of course oil and refineries to do all this. There's a role for renewables, but especially in the developing world to industrialize, it's critical.
Yeah, I think the sentiment that is echoed throughout the industry is it takes all forms right now to get everybody up and running. And it seems like LNG is just a great resource. So I want to ask you, how does GasTech 2025 different from GasTech of maybe 2024 in Houston? What makes this year so special?
I think, as each gas tech comes, it builds momentum. Going back to Joe's point, in terms of ministerial attendance, this year we have, Doug Burgum, Minister of Interior,
Okay.
Secretary of Interior from the US. We have around 15 energy ministers coming from around the world. So that's a real big policy play, and that's probably a bit of a growth on year. Of course, we have more exhibitors, we have more speakers. We probably have every major CEO from your traditional national oil companies, if you like, so Total, Shells, BPs, etc. But all the major LNG producers are coming in from the US as well. And that's really, really important because big LNG producers out of the US are coming in. US is the world's top LNG exporter and continues to grow. It's about 18% of total energy supply now. The big off takers are coming into Europe. So Milan's the destination. Europe's coming off Russian pipe gas, so that's going to require more LNG. So that really is that sudden shift. It's the exponential growth of energy demand. We're seeing a lot of African countries coming up to Milan. Some of those exporting gas already, Nigeria. Those with the Nigerian pipeline deal coming up via Morocco. So it really is this global meeting point for the global natural gas and energy industry. Hydrogen's a big player with across to Europe. And again, going back, it's about those countries that can afford hydrogen, but those that can actually utilize natural gas and LNG, quick in terms of those LNG tankers, reliquefaction, getting the product back to the people that need it most. So it's grown on Houston. Houston's a great base for us. And it was probably one of our most successful events in 2024. It's just growing. It's growing because we have policy. It's growing because we have strategy with our major C-suite coming in. And then below that, it's growing because it has a big technical application base. And then it's growing even more because you've got product, services, and solutions on that exhibition show floor. So it's that complete melting pot. It's that complete ecosystem of not only natural gas and LNG, but those climate technologies that the big energy companies are investing in, the big hydrogen players are in. So it really is that place where everybody can meet everybody and everybody can do business. And I think that's the ultimate of these events. People are getting together, whether it's bilateral, whether it's policy, or whether it's simple supply chain. It's about more affordable and accessible energy, and natural gas and energy is the theme.
I want to actually also, because I think this is so cool, how the conference itself will travel from different locations. Now, you have your other big flagship event is ADIPEC, and that's going to be in the Middle East every year. But GasTech is cool because it floats around globally. Why is that so important that it moves around specifically for GasTech?
I think it's, you're right. We have the world's biggest energy event, ADIPEC, Abu Dhabi, every year. We've just finished the big Nigerian national event in Abuja. We do an event for Japan. We were in Calgary. It was great to see you there. So we have all these global events that are anchored in specific parts of the world. GasTech is that unique ability because it moves. So Houston, before Houston, Singapore, this year Milan, back out to Asia in 2026. And that gives the opportunity of both producers and off-takers to be part of the global conversation. So,
Cool.
we're moving to both buy and sell markets. We're bringing both communities together. And that really is an opportunity. So we're not, it's great to be in one country, but this gives the opportunity to bring global markets together. So we're taking, with the conversations we have across these conferences, with the show floor, solutions to those markets that are adapting and growing.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And guys, it's in Milan. I mean, it seems like it's wonderful. You guys obviously, of course, have been to Milan before. I have not, so I'm very excited. This year, I'm going to be attending. OGGN will be there, and we'll be podcasting there. Hopefully, we'll get some follow-ups from you guys. But what's the benefit if someone is saying, well, I think I kind of want to go to GasTech this year? What makes it the fact that it's in Milan more appealing for someone to want to come out?
But I think there's some operational issues. GasTech's a very, very big event, so you need a very, very big venue. Milan just happens to have a very big venue. I think we also look at, connectivity, where the specific country is. And I think Italy, with ENI and its government, have got a particularly interesting gas story. I think the connectivity across the rest of Europe, allowing Spain, Portugal, France, Germany, etc., UK, they can all come in. The connectivity with the Balkans, or Azerbaijan, the Middle East connectivity, the Asia connectivity. So it really is about, can people get there? Do we have hotel stock? Is the venue big enough? Has that country got a story as well? And will it get supported and behind it? And, one of the reasons we attract so many ministers is because we have a great Italian supporter that helps us with that. So, it's about a global destination, and, there is really none better than Milan in September. So we look forward to seeing you there. The food's amazing.
Yeah.
Formula One the week before. I don't know what else I can say, really.
Okay, and before we're gonna. I really want to touch on this subject too, because Joe, we had talked previously kind of about this golden age of LNG. I really want to hear more about that, your take and your perspective, why we are entering in that golden age, and why it's important that these conversations and at GasTech 2025 is going to kind of revolve around this golden age of LNG.
Well, it's really more golden age of gas in general, but LNG is going to play a major part of that because, look what happened when you had the war in Ukraine and supplies to Europe were cut. The U.S. Exports of LNG basically allowed Europe to survive for that winter and the subsequent months, and have allowed them to sort of wean off even Russian LNG supply. So LNG is becoming a very important contributor to this golden age of gas. As again, it's versatile. and flexible. And the U.S. has a lot of gas, and there's a lot of projects coming online. So from a U.S. standpoint, I'm not surprised that Chris said Secretary Burgum, who chairs the White House Energy Council, and maybe even Secretary Wright will also make an appearance. And that shows the U.S. interest in gas and LNG in particular. But Shell just came out with their forecast for LNG, and they're forecasting a 50% growth by 2040, and that's just for economic activity in the developing world, as we said before, in places like Southeast Asia and Africa. But if you're going to throw on top of that digital compute and AI, and other forms of technologies that are going to requiring energy. Number one, you need all forms of energy, but we're gonna need gas and LNG to play a growing role in the global energy mix, and that's why we think it's going to have an even important role moving forward, and that's why we think we're going to have a new golden age of gas as a result of this surging energy demand.
So cool. So cool. I can't wait to hear more about that and experience that. Guys, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but any final thoughts about anyone who might be on the fence about joining GasTech for 2025?
Sorry, Ben, can you repeat that one? Sorry, I lost you a bit.
I said I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I want to say any final thoughts on maybe someone who's on the fence about joining GasTech 2025 in Milan this year?
Certainly from my point, we've got the global industry coming to Milan, and we'd more than welcome people to come as visitors or delegates and be part of that conversation. I think being part of the conversation, you will meet with everybody from the global energy industry, and you can also be part of the solution. We've got to get more energy to more people. It's got to be more affordable. It's got to be more accessible. We've got to come off coal. It's all of the above in terms of energy source, but we know natural gas, pipeline gas, and LNG is going to be a big part of the solution. It is our combined and collective responsibility, whether you're selling products, services, part of the value chain, whether you're CEO or policy or bilateral trade, it's our responsibility collectively to be part of that solution. Working together, leaving no one behind, is why you should be part of GasTech Milan. You'll meet the right people, you'll be part of a great global movement, and you'll play a small part in getting more energy to more people. And I think if you're in the energy industry, that's your responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. I love to hear that. Joe, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I would just go back. I think it's a must-attend event on the energy calendar, and if you have interest or exposure to natural gas or LNG, I mean, it's even more of an important event for you to attend, and particularly because of natural gas's more prominent role in the energy mix, but also in Europe too. Europe is trying to re-engineer their competitiveness, and energy is a key component. I mean, they've been losing some industries and jobs as a result of high energy prices. So they're trying to reform the energy mix in Europe, and gas and LNG are going to play an important role because of its clean energy characteristics and sort of the partnership. Europe is very high on renewables and clean energy, but gas is a very complementary partner to renewables. As we saw in the situation with the blackout in the Iberian Peninsula in Spain and Portugal, the absence of gas and standby power was really a contributing factor there. We talked about AI and AC, but also sort of standby baseload power is also going to also be driving, I think, natural gas demand growth moving forward.
Awesome. Great to hear that. Great to hear good conversations. And I'm really excited to see you both in Milan. So thanks so much for being on the Energy Trade Show podcast. Really looking forward to it. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Great to be here.
Thanks, Ben. Thank you for your time. Thank you.